Welcome to episode 8 of the CP Performance Podcast. Today's guest is Swedish goalkeeping legend Hedvig Lindahl. So before we get started, this was actually recorded prior to the World Cup, and just wanted to say a massive congratulations to her and Sweden on the bronze medal in this tournament, and also on her move to Wolfsburg more recently. But before we get started, just a quick message from our sponsor. Play is a new smart football tracker designed to utilise GPS technology and give you personalised sports science advice. For more information, go to playersmartcoach.com. And to be in for a chance to win one of the Player Smart Football Trackers, join our mailing list and follow us on social media at CP Perform UK. Good day and welcome to another episode of the CP Performance Podcast. I'd like to introduce you to our guest today, Hedvig Lindahl. She's a Swedish goalkeeping legend and Olympic silver medalist. Hedvig, if I hand over to you, can you just give us a brief introduction?
Oh, well, hello. Thank you for having me, Joe. A brief introduction. I've been playing football since I was 4, and I'm born 83. You could do the math. I'm 27 now. No, I'm 36. So I've been doing it for quite some time. And someone told me you actually have only 10 years on the highest level because you can only do that for your mental capacity. But I'm plus 18 years, so I must be the exception of the rule. I am very experienced. I've played many games for Sweden. I have the record for caps for Sweden male and female goalkeepers, and reaching soon a record in a number of tournaments I've attended. And then I had a lifelong goal to become the world's best goalkeeper, and I guess I kind of reached that when my peers voted for me for the world's best goalkeeper in 2017. So yeah, it's been a long journey.
That's an incredible brief introduction to what is an incredible journey. So 18 plus years of elite level goalkeeping. How many tournaments will it be when you step into the World Cup this year?
Oh, I think it's 12 or 13 or something like that on the highest level. Yeah.
Wow, that's incredible. So that's absolutely incredible. And you know, some people in their whole careers never even get to one. So to manage that level is outstanding. So clearly, obviously, having so much experience, there would have been an array of challenges that you'd come across. Is there anything in particular that you think as a challenge was, 1, really, really difficult, 2, took some new approaches to overcome, and 3, that you think would be good advice for someone that may go through it?
Well, it depends on what kind of angle you want to look at it. But I had a period of all these years that was tougher than others. I would say, there was a few years that was tough for different reasons. And I think it all boiled together in that I had pushed myself a lot, being of the kind of perfect, kind of you want everything to be perfect, that kind of personality type. It didn't work anymore. You know, I was in my 30s and it just didn't work anymore to push myself the way I did. And I had to find another approach to stuff, and that includes, how you see it, with feelings and emotions, the mental side of the game. But it's also how you put your body through things where you don't listen to the signals from the body, and that has a knock-on effect on everything you do on the pitch, tactically, technically, all that. But there was a few years where it was tough, and I guess what I would say for someone who wants to embark on this journey is that it's not a race. It's not a race in some sort of imaginary step in a staircase, if you know what I mean. Like, if I'm not doing this, someone else is doing it, and I will be behind them. It's more of a be kind to yourself and take the time you need, and eventually all the kind of circles will come together and work together, and you'll be flying, and that will be. It will go up and it will go down. You know, it's not always going to go up in your career, if you know what I mean.
So essentially, you're saying don't sprint, because it isn't a sprint. Take your time, get it right, and keep going if you want to have a long and successful career. Don't try and achieve everything tomorrow, because you've got plenty of time.
Yeah, and if you do compare to anyone, it should only be to yourself. It shouldn't be with your competitors necessarily, but it's being in a professional environment. It's so much about comparing to others and will you play or will I play and these things, but it doesn't really matter in the long run. The only thing that matters is that you compare with yourself, that as long as you make progress from where you were, it doesn't matter what everyone else is doing, because they will always have different what you say, like life will treat everyone differently. So things will be thrown towards you in life that will either help you get forward quicker, or it will slow you down a little bit, and that's okay, if you know what I mean. It's just compare yourself to yourself.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, so make sure, like, that's a true perfectionist talking there. Make sure you're your best every time you're doing everything, whether you're playing or not. Make sure that you're doing everything you possibly can to take your career to the next step, because like you say, there's going to be things getting in your way, there's going to be things getting in other people's ways of themselves as well. So that's a great bit of advice. Look after yourself, take your time, make sure you do it right, and be a bit of a perfectionist on that. Then, so I know, and I'm sure everyone that follows you knows that you're a parent of 2 young boys. How do you find balancing work and life?
Well, if we would have had a child in our lives while I was pushing myself a little bit too much, not really listening to my signals, and again comparing myself to others, which is not what I recommend you should do, then I would have struggled, I think, because a child is something you should put above everything else, because that's way better than anything in life. Having a child in your life, I'm sure you know this, Joe.
Yeah.
And the method I had before the arrival of our first son, Timothy, was that I was pushing myself too much. I was afraid of letting anyone pass on this imaginary step ladder or whatever, and that is fortunately not the case now. Now I am comparing myself to myself. Now I am taking every opportunity serious, especially having a child. I felt if I'm leaving the child to go to work, then to my football work, I should do it effectively. I should do it as good as I can. Otherwise, I could be in another place in this life. I should be with my child. Then also, like, the lack of sleep will definitely have an effect. So maybe I can't expect exactly everything that I could expect of myself earlier now. I need to be kind and really listen to my body and what can I do. And maybe I'm not the one who do all the reps, all the sets, and load the most all the time. I need to feel, where is my body at? Am I ready for this now? And then try to kind of work it all together. Yesterday I had the boys with me in the gym, like, and someone asked how do you do it, and my answer was, well, sometimes I have to leave before the whole session is done, because the kids need food or whatever. Like, it's just the way it is. And maybe I have to add another session to bring in the bits and pieces that you didn't have time with on that first session, if you know what I mean. So you have to be creative.
Yeah, definitely. I think we've had a lot of discussions over the years about how and when and where and what to do in the gym, and always about listening to yourself and listening to your body. And I think I've seen you sort of master that element of, actually today, I feel real good, I can do a little bit more, or, today I feel exhausted because of this going on outside. So what I need to do is an awful lot less, or completely rest, So, but that's something that I think you only get or learn through actually putting yourself through the situations like you did before. So previously you'd push yourself like super hard to get where you had, and then you got an opportunity to be in a fully professional environment where you've had all those past experiences, but now you can hone in on your skills and you've learned from that. On that then, what do you feel the coaching approaches that currently suit you? How do you like to be coached?
In terms of S&T or
S&C first and then technical after?
Well, I think the way we've been working, Joe, has been good, letting me have lots of freedom, but being there as kind of someone to bounce off ideas with, because you want to have, for me in my role, I'm not an expert in how to, like, the latest research or what's what the research suggests you should do. It's just my trial and error kind of experience that I go with. So listening to someone like yourself is definitely important, and to get new ideas and, you know, new information. But I do appreciate to have a level of trust, because it is, after all, my life, my body, and I kind of know what worked before. So have a good mix there of freedom, but also guidance is, I guess, a good approach for me. And this is probably different from whoever you ask, because if you're a young kid, for example, coming just into these situations in this environment, you probably need way more guidance and structure and help and, you know, set schedules and whatever. So yeah, for me, it works with a lot of balance with guidance and then freedom, definitely.
Yeah, I agree with you there. I think it was very, very similar response from you as to what Ali and Deanna and Anne also said. Ali and Deanna both said that, you know, they like to have a little bit of guidance, but quite a bit of freedom, you know, and I think that's the difference when you're working with an elite professional compared to a young developing athlete. A young developing athlete should always be much closer monitored and have a lot more input from the coach, whereas at this level, you know, like you say, you've been in it a very long time. So the conversations we had when I first started working with you was, because I'm not a massive fan of Olympic weightlifting, but, you know, you can do it. So I'm happy for you to crack on and do it, you know, things like that. So, like, I understand why the research behind it. I understand why people do it. I understand why people like it. But I'm not going to waste my time coaching a professional footballer and spending months and months and months doing that when I can just get them to do some jumps. Whereas you've got that background in it. So I was more than happy for you to crack on and keep doing it, and you're technically proficient at it, so it doesn't make sense to take it away from you. You know, so that's just one of the ways that I've had to learn to develop my coaching approach with different people over the years. Obviously, previously worked in an academy where it's a lot more structured and a bit more militant, whereas with you it's a lot more relaxed. And, you know, you come in and tell me, Joe, this is the program I've got, and I can do A and B today because of these constraints, which is really nice. So you're, again, one of those players that will just get on and do it. You don't need to be handheld the whole time. Just to go then onto something slightly different, again, another challenge. Over your career, so the 18 years at the elite level, what major challenges regards to physically, like any injuries or anything like that, have you come across that have had to really change the way you approach, the way you train?
I've had two ACL injuries, obviously, so you have to change everything while you're out and then slowly build back in. I wouldn't say that it's necessarily changed the way I train once back again, but it's been an interesting journey to go from being completely kind of disabled for a while and then slowly build yourself back, and how to kind of go about that whole situation where you are not able to do what you are normally able to do. I also had a little meniscus refresh, if you can call it that, just to go in and take something out that was a bit annoying. And then I also had cannon pincer operations on my hips because of wear and tear, really. And I guess before I did the hip thing, I was struggling of pain, and it's just when you have pain, you have to adapt, I assume. But again, my big reason to change a little bit about my approach to the physical training is just to be kinder to myself. Just listen more, like listen inwards more than check outwards. Again, I'm coming back to the comparison to other people. Just be kind to yourself, because I think my ACL injuries came from pushing myself too much. It came from not listening, and it came from just going on and going on and going on and more and more and more and more. And then the body just says, no, I won't do it anymore. You won't listen, so I will break, you know. And since I've started being kinder to myself, I feel like I'm not really worried that, I mean, things can happen. You can have bad luck and whatever, but at least you are not forcing yourself into those situations anymore. So I guess that's my big change into the approach I have with physical training. Just be kinder. You don't have to push that much all the time.
Yeah, I think one of the things that, again, we've discussed over the years is sometimes less is more, and do quality over quantity. And I think you only learn that through experiencing failure. And I never like to look at failure as, oh no, I failed. It's an opportunity to learn, and as difficult as it is when you get injured, that's a physical failure, and it's an opportunity to learn. It's either your opportunity to learn, my body doesn't enjoy doing all of this in a lead up to it, especially if it's a non-contact injury, or it's your coach's opportunity to learn, actually, I think I might have done too much, or I think I need to sit down with the player and discuss, how did you feel going into this? Because anecdotally, it's known that fatigue plays a massive impact on non-contact injuries such as an ACL rupture, but I'm not 100% sure there's a huge amount of research backing that. But I know if you have conversations with people in the field that they put a lot of injuries down to fatigue, which, like you say, is just going OTT, doing too much too often, and just wear and tear and breaking yourself down. So you've alluded to quite a lot then on the physical side of things. So you've said that your challenges and have not particularly changed the way you do things, but changed the way you think about doing things and the way you think about your body and how it feels and things. Is there any advice then you would give to a young athlete that's trying to learn that approach?
Well, I think you mentioned it earlier on when we talked here, that you said some days I feel really strong and some days I'm not exactly there, and just that trying to have a sense of where are you today, and go ahead, push if you feel energetic and strong, then go ahead and push, but remember that will have to be a recovery period as well. You can't expect to go on and push day in and day out. You have to learn all these recovery methods as well, and I think it's I guess to a degree you have to fail sometimes to learn, but if someone is open to listen to advice, it's probably just assess your shape today. Do I need to recover today, or do I have the ability to push, and then see and try from there. Like what is push for you is like you'll see with the effect it has on you the day after. Was that too much, too little, and go from there. You just have to be a constant analysis of what you did before and the day before, and then see and learn from that. Always compare it to yourself and then trial and error, I guess.
So if you was approached by a young athlete that was working hard on the cusp of their first international call-up, and they wasn't 100% sure, and they felt like they was extremely tired, what kind of advice would you give to them? Because that could be quite a big challenge.
Again, it's the challenge that people think of like from the outside. Like, okay, so there's for me, then it's a little bit annoying that these camps come and go, because it's like a deadline where you have to make it, kind of. And to kind of completely exclude yourself from that, it's super hard. But I think that's the most that's the strategy that will keep you going for the longest time. I think many people will have the ability to get to that certain camp, but at some point then they will break or they will fail for some other reason because they push themselves too much. So for me, all these different dates and games and camps and whatever, like it can also be like a league game for your club. It's a game on the Sunday, and on the Thursday you don't feel 100%, but you do whatever you can to be ready for the game on the Sunday. Well, and I know everyone wants to play and you want to be there for your team and whatever, but if you want to have a long career, you have to take care of yourself, even if it means you miss a deadline. You know what I mean? Like you might need another recovery day. I always tell my teammates, even in Chelsea, that if they come in with a sore throat or whatever, it's like, what do you win on training today? Okay, you might be in the team in 2 days for the game, but what do you actually gain from training today in the long run? But if what you need today is to recover because you have a sore throat, then recover today and be ready tomorrow, and then you're flying for the next game instead. So that stress of that next deadline is what I'm trying to get across here. That shouldn't be there at all, but that's so apparent in our business that it's the next game and you have to be ready and blah. But for the long run, that's not the best approach, in my opinion.
No, I think I agree with you there as well. I think for your long-term health and well-being,
so that's what I was going to say.
Your long-term health and well-being, it's not ideal sometimes, but it's always difficult, isn't it? Because if you want to play and you want to be selected for every game, then you have to be at training and you have to be available, even if you are ill. I think it's working a balance and having a relationship with your coaching staff. I think that's the difference, because if you come in and you're ill and you tell us and, I need another day off, then we know why. We know you're recovering and what's going on and things like that. So yeah, that's a very difficult challenge, which I think mostly boils down to your individual relationship with the coaching staff and medical team and stuff around you, and making sure that they get the best out of you and they understand that you're not just skipping training.
But also, you as an individual need to understand, I think, that okay, I did that. I mean, I can press myself to play the game or whatever, and I got the ACL injury as a result of that, my last one. I would have a sore throat. I would feel like have a cold, but I would feel good enough to kind of make 1 or 2 sessions before the very important game that I needed to play, because I need to play. But you need to know as an athlete, every time you play that you're not 100, that's not helping you in the overall competition. You should, as much as you can, compete when you're 100%, or 95 to 100%. You know what I mean? Also, from a team point of view, is it really fair for you to push yourself? You're in 80%, 85%, whatever. Is that really fair, or will there be a teammate of yours that is actually 100 that could go in and do a better job? At the same time, you give yourself a few more days to recover, and then you're back in 100%. And trust yourself that you are good enough that you can come back into the team, because you are flying when you're 100%. But just to keep someone else away from taking your starting position is not really the method I would suggest. But I do have respect for the power of that competition. I do respect it, but that's what's going to cause you problems if that's the only approach you have.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I
think just speaking from experience. I mean, I had that approach until I was 30 and it didn't work anymore. So
yeah.
And it's cost me a lot of stress. After, when I changed my approach, I'm enjoying games. I'm playing much better. I am ready. I'm taking care of myself, so I'm not finding myself in all these positions where I get sick all the time. So it's just less stress about it all.
Yeah. Stress is key. Making sure you get good sleep and hydration and nutrition as well helps you sort of counterbalance some of the impact of stress on your physical well-being as well. And you alluded to, when you have children, sleep disappears for a while. So
yeah,
balancing that's a good challenge as well. Okay, so we'll go slightly off piece then. We'll go away from the challenges and things. So far, obviously, you've won a huge amount of individual and team awards and achievements and things. What is or was possibly the greatest moment of your international career?
I think it must have been when we managed to get to the final in the Olympics 2016 in Rio. It's such a long story that I don't think we have time to take, but trying to tell you a little shorter version of it is that we weren't really we didn't qualify by our own kind of machine because thanks to England not playing using their Olympic spot, there was a qualifier that we were put into together with 4 other European teams. And then we managed somehow, by defending for our life, to kind of get that last spot to the Olympics. We were thrashed 5-1 against Brazil in the group stage, and we were like, oh my God, we're not good enough to be here. And then just found a way to make it all the way to the final through penalty shootouts and lots of defending or whatever. So I think since I'm being a goalkeeper and being very involved in all these defensive setups and all the penalty shootouts, for me, lots of focus ended up on me and the defense, obviously. So I feel like that was probably my highlight in taking the team very far in a tournament. So that would be it.
Yeah, I remember watching that and watching you and actually just feeling rather nervous for you as well. But what an incredible opportunity, what an incredible experience, and what an unbelievable way to show how professional and how calm you can be under pressure. That was a high pressure situation. What was it? How many penalty shootouts in total were there?
It was 2 in the quarterfinals against the US and in the semifinals against Brazil.
There you go. So, and wow, it's that must be exhilarating. And thinking back on that as well must be such a great time and great memories.
Definitely.
So then, to go from that into your club, what was your best professional experience at club level? Any club you've ever worked for?
Well, it's a hard one to say. Obviously, when you reach some sort of title, is always something that is gonna stand out, I guess. And I played for many years for different clubs, and I remember, winning stuff with my club in Linköping for many years ago when we won the cup in Sweden a few times. But one thing I'm very proud of is actually my team I played for before joining Chelsea, Kristianstad, because we were kind of like a Leicester, in terms of we didn't have lots of money, we didn't have the best possibility to pay players and things like that. So given what we had, we also reached the cup final one year, and that was I like to be part of, kind of like the Olympic story, that be part of a story where you overachieve from your expectations. And I guess the first year in Chelsea, when we won the double, we won the league and the FA Cup, Chelsea was already one of the top teams. They came second, I think, the year before, but had never won before. So when you're able to do something that's not expected from you, I think that's those are the best situations where you overachieve. The sum of all the parts are better than each individual would have made. So yeah, those stories, I guess.
Yeah, that's fascinating. And I would say you're not only are you a perfectionist, but you're a serial winner, and maybe, like you say, a bit of a serial overachiever because of how much of a perfectionist you are. I don't want to sound like I'm being condescending or anything there, but like you say, you put yourself into situations and you've been involved in situations which, your back's against the rope and the odds are against you, and yet you've come out on top. That's a huge credit to your level of professionalism and the work rate and the effort you put in and just your mind in the game. So that, like, goalkeepers are, for me, they're insane. First of all, because they stand in front of a net and have someone kick a ball at them. But they're also tactical wizards and geniuses because they should be coaching from on the grass behind everyone. So to be 18 plus years at the elite level, competing all around the world, going to the Olympics, getting a silver medal, you're off to the World Cup now. I think that's absolutely incredible. And I think you do amazing things, Biggs, and I think you're an incredible goalkeeper, an incredible person, an incredible guest to have on, because you can give a short snapshot insight into everything you've done. If I could, I'd talk to you for another hour or so, but I know you've got things to do as well. You've got training to do and things as well, preparing for the World Cup. So I don't want to keep you too much longer.
Well, thank you, Joe, for all those kind words, and right back at you. You're super professional too. So yeah, love is all around here.
Thank you, Viggy. I appreciate that. So just on that, what I'll do is I'll thank you for your time. I'll say goodbye now, and I want to wish you all the best at the World Cup. I'll be watching, without a doubt, and I hope our paths cross again in the future. And if I'm still running this podcast in a year's time, I'll get you on. You can talk about your experience in this World Cup.
Yes, that is interesting from a physical point of view, you see. So yeah, let's do that.
Excellent. Thank you, Hedvig, and thank you for your time.
Thank you for having me.
So just want to thank you again for listening to the episode. Subscribe, follow us on social media at CP Perform UK, and again, sign up to our mailing list if you want to win one of the Player Smart Football Trackers. Thank you.